What is the approach that you guys take from a strategy standpoint? What's the KickstartPPC way?
Firstly, it's about, and also
campaign structure, restructuring could be one of the first things that needs to be done.
One of the first things we do, part of our structure is.
It's Brandyn KickstartPPC, and in this video we're going to be showing you an interview done by Daniel from Scale Insights, interviewing me on how we optimize Amazon PPC, as well as how we use automation on Scale Insights. Let's get into the video. I'm Brandyn Jeys from KickstartPPC. We're an Amazon PPC agency and Scale Insights partner. We've been using Scale Insights to make sure things are done in the proper way and in the way that we optimize.
So has KickstartPPC been a remote-based team from the beginning? Was it by design?
From the beginning we started. We've been growing, particularly since last year. That's when we've had most of the growth. But before it was just Andrew and I managing most of the clients and the PPC. So it's always been remote.
So in terms of PPC management, right? Okay. What is the approach that you guys take from a client management, from a strategy standpoint, right? Maybe could you share that? What's the KickstartPPC way?
So this would be, I guess, firstly, it's about having the right foundation. So we got to make sure campaigns are set up correctly, but also really good communication. So like the one thing we don't want to do is just take what the client set up and just leave it. And, run automation, for example. We need to build everything from the ground up in a good way. Utilize as much as possible of what they have, and we don't like to create everything from scratch. We don't have to, but then make sure the foundation's there, and then we can then automate some things that we can. But the client management, it's about, I suppose, like making sure that the questions are answered. Particularly with startups, people have a lot of questions on things. So like as I've been in the game myself, I've sold. There's sold on Amazon. I can answer a lot of questions. Same with my business partner. So that part is quite important.
Right. So campaign structure or campaign restructuring could be one of the first things that needs to be done.
One of the first things we do, we like to audit the accounts first and have a concrete plan before we jump into a new brand. So like part of our structure is we get the audit done, we see what's wrong, we can actually give concrete data to the client and say, this is exactly what we're going to do. And then, if they're happy with that and they think, right, there's value in working with us, then we'll take them on. We'll implement those changes, and part of the structure, part of the change will be make sure the structure is good. So we'll make sure we're covering all our bases, foundations set up.
So once foundation has been set up, then you can start to do bid management, right? Then negations management, right? Maybe so this kind of stuff, right? Okay. So what are the core PPC management things that you typically would do after, like, post-campaign restructuring? So what's next, basically? What's next?
So typically at this point, we've done all our initial keyword research. We like to run that either way. Like we'll take what you have as a brand, but we'll also do our own in case there's anything missing. Look at the search volume, see if there's any potential with any new keywords, add those in. And then from there, we'll look at, run certain tests on these keywords. And then say after week 1, we filter out what's not working. Week 2, we'll have even more data because we want to wait for a certain amount of clicks per keyword. If, say, for example, a keyword only gets 2 clicks, we haven't given enough time to run. So we'll be kind of testing that part. If there's anything that comes up that's maybe getting 100 clicks, it's not getting sales, we'll look at negating that. So it's at that point the optimization process starts. But at the same time as that, we're also looking for conversion rate improvement opportunities. So like part of the thing I do is I like to do a full listing audit as well. So we start the PPC, get that going, and then I'll go in the back end SEO, check the title, check the bullet points, check the images. There's things that we can do better and suggest. Typically our clients, they have their own designer, they'll do it themselves. And we'll just send them, it's like, look, you can change this about the images and this is what someone else is doing. And it gives them a place to start. The title stuff we can do.
Right.
If they give us the permission, we can
Sure.
make the changes, add keywords in. So, that'd be kind of the next step with that part of the process.
Right, right. So once you get that process kind of sorted out,
Yep.
is that where you introduce automation? Is that the
Yes.
juncture? Okay.
Yes, so part of the thing that we do is when we set up those new campaigns, sometimes there's a point where they don't get clicks or impressions.
Yes.
If they're not getting clicks and impressions, potentially we're not getting the right placements. So we need, some form of automation to increase the bids every few days until we hit that point.
Yeah.
The typical bidding optimization, it's something that we do alongside that. If we say we've got clicks and impressions, we'll switch those in-shop rules off, and then we'll then use some form of automation for that.
Yes.
But it's important to use kind of a mix of looking at the campaigns in detail and also automation from our view.
Yes, understand. Right. So have there been any features that you feel would be really useful to add onto the software based on your current process that you maybe set up automation, but there's a certain segment over here that you weren't able to automate and you wish that there was such a feature?
So one of the things I think we could do with is having something where it removes duplicate keywords.
Right.
Because one of the things we find is we come across a brand, they've maybe had a couple of agencies work on it, maybe they've used a different software, they might have tons of duplicates.
Right.
And it's all right if it's like a broader phrase match that pulls these different terms. But if you've got exact matches in different campaigns all spotted around, it just makes everything messy.
Right.
So something maybe from Scale Insights where it helps with that process.
Right.
Is potentially you could be bidding against yourself.
Yes. So for that, we do have the competing keywords module, right? But it doesn't automatically remove them for you. You can see competing keywords, and then you kind of have to go there manually to adjust them from there.
Yeah.
So we kind of have not a fully automated solution for that. Yeah.
And another thing as well that we could look at doing is when you implement rules. So we're often testing different things.
Yeah.
So if we could say go backwards, like if we made some changes on Monday and they didn't work, we could then revert them back to Sunday's rules just by in Google Sheets where they have you can go back in time.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that would be
like
really
a rule history snapshot.
Exactly.
Is that going to be useful?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. This is something our teams actually requested. We had a meeting last night. This was one of the main things they said that would be useful.
Okay. So I understand.
Yeah.
Has there been any changes on the Amazon site? Right. I think just you mentioned in terms of like sponsored videos, the way that phrase is being advertised, right? Okay. Has there been any recent changes on Amazon that has, in some sense, impacted the way that you do PPC management for your clients?
Definitely. Yeah. So last year was broad match when they went after that. They used to only go after close match terms. Right. Now they target substitutes. Right. So a broad match campaign, as we would know it before, was now targeting things that aren't relevant in some case. Right. So negating things is even more important. So part of our foundation campaign strategy, we don't typically use broad match anymore. We use something called modified broad, where we put like plus the search term plus the additional term. So then it's always going to be those terms within the search term.
Yes.
But if you just put in the search term, you can target pretty much anything. So that's one thing, but that's last year. Right. The phrase match sponsor brand video change, that does a similar thing. And that's, we're seeing terms that aren't relevant, that aren't even to do with the phrase. Right. And Amazon's using their own AI to determine. But their AI is nowhere near where it needs to be. So
their AI is in the interest of getting more views, more impressions, more clicks, right?
Yeah,
right.
And this is the thing, right? Amazon
and more spend. Yeah.
This is what they want. So like around Prime Day, they're going to say, okay, your Prime Day suggested bid is this.
Yes.
And most people are going to do this. So the bids in that week will probably go up about 50%. Right. In most niches. Sure. So Amazon is just in it to try and make money off everybody.
For-profit business. Yeah. Let's be honest.
They are. And the thing, to deny that, that's another thing. But for the seller, you just need to know how to get around that. And,
right.
And you can do with the substitute issues by making sure you're using your negatives, and that's what we use the blacklist rule.
Oh, so the form of automation that you do is to preemptively blacklist them.
Yes.
Right? So that it never shows up in campaigns that's tied to the ASIN, right?
Correct.
So are there other such types of automation that you're doing to preemptively minimize such unnecessary ad spend?
When we start with the new brand, we build out a master keyword list and a negative master keyword list.
Yes.
We pull from all the data originally. So this will get added into the blacklist rule.
Right.
But every week we're looking for terms that maybe show up.
Yeah.
And this part we'd like to do manually because negatives can impact a business a lot.
Yes.
You don't want to have, and the automation side is good, but if you have the wrong term added in, and you can do this if you set up the automation wrong, then that could be an issue. You can have your sales just decrease.
Sure.
So we do this manually and add it into the blacklist rule. So we can just visually verify.
Yes. I initially was wondering if you were doing mostly based on like negation rules, but I think blacklist is a much more efficient way.
Definitely.
Yes.
And this is the thing, right? If we can add them into one list, and every campaign we set up, we don't have to keep adding them in.
Exactly.
So it's very helpful for us.
Right. So that's with regards to negations, right? Okay. Is there anything interesting you want to share about bid management?
Bid management, it's the principles we use is not going too aggressive. If you go aggressive, it's got to be for a purpose.
Right.
So, like for example, you're not getting clicks and impressions, or you're getting too high of an ACoS and your cost per click is high. But for bid management, it's all about just gradual testing. So we have a formula that we use, and we don't go to we don't go above 20% in our bid adjustments unless there's a need.
Right.
So and making sure that with the bid adjustments we're doing it in a way that gives it time to test.
Right.
So like at least a 7-day watch period on the adjustments.
Right. So in our software we call it days to observe. Right. So how important is it to have that ability to have the days to observe for your bid management?
Really important.
Okay.
Because if the bids were just being changed every day, it's chaos. We're going to have, like, if I looked at just a random account out of one of our brands we work with, we're going to see, potentially yesterday did well, the other day was a bit slower, and if we're making changes based on what the previous day is, it's going to be all over the place.
Right.
So we need that days to observe so you can look at averages rather than just one day.
And in Scale Insights, you can do days to observe at the individual rule level. So I could have one rule with 7 days to observe, another rule with 14 days to observe, right? So you do have that control.
Yeah, this is really important for our strategy. So we use this with all our rules.
All right, I understand. Yeah. So days to observe, not just for bidding, for other rules as well?
Yeah, so bidding rules particularly, but for like, say for example a negative, we're going to use like the negative word rule.
Yes.
We're going to make sure that we get a certain amount of clicks before we transition that to blacklist.
Right.
So, we do like to have a manual approach, but say for example, there's something that's really not working. It's like an auto campaign, maybe it gets 100 clicks on it, no conversion. Maybe then we'll get that moved straight to the blacklist.
Sure. So in terms of bidding wise, do you take like an ACoS first approach? Is like ACoS management is the be all and all, or you have like a ranking objective, or you have a TACoS objective, right? In terms of like bidding, where are you trying to get at?
So ACoS is important because obviously that's your campaign performance, but we want to be looking at your organic and versus PPC as well.
Okay.
So like if your ACoS is high, but you're getting 80% organic sales, your TACoS is going to be pretty good.
Yes.
And maybe you're bidding high on one keyword that the ACoS is high, but that might be down to the cost per click.
Sure.
So if you're doing it in this way and you're making sure you rank, then it works.
Right.
So there's some brands that like to focus just on ACoS, and I think you're missing a part of the puzzle that you need. So we like to look at ACoS as metric just for PPC performance, but it's not the be all end all.
Right.
The TACoS is where we look at most. And the good thing is TACoS can be changed. If we find that we're not ranking for a keyword, and we have a high ACoS, maybe it's a conversion rate problem.
Sure.
So then we're looking at, okay, is the price an issue? Is the content an issue?
Right.
And this can sometimes solve the problem. Having just a small change in content can sometimes improve that conversion rate, and then ACoS comes down.
Sure. So you mentioned that you want to have like a good organic sales versus PPC sales mix, right? So how do you go about tracking that?
So we use Scale Insights dashboard for that.
Okay.
So it's
the sales trend dashboard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like you go in and you can look at product performance. You can see, is it 57% organic?
Yes.
So this has been really helpful for us. But we like to go into that and make sure. Okay, are we seeing the organic increasing? And then we also use like keyword trackers. So we're seeing are we getting those results on the organic side?
Sure.
But at least with that, we can see the overall.
Yes.
And then is it moving in the right direction?
Do you mix percentage, like how many percent PPC sales, how many percent organic sales, right? Or it's an account brand dependent?
Very brand dependent, but I like to get it to about 60% organic, 40% PPC, if possible.
Right. Okay.
But some brands have less margin, so it needs to be different.
Yes.
It's very different depending on the brand. Some are harder than others to get that.
Understand.
We hope you found that helpful and hopefully gives some insights on how to automate your Amazon PPC and some of the things that we like to do when we're optimizing our clients' PPC. If you want an audit on your account, you don't know where to begin, you just don't have the time to manage it yourself, you can contact us below, KickstartPPC.com, schedule an audit with us and see how we can help you out. And of course, for more Scale Insights and more Amazon PPC content, don't forget to subscribe, stay up to date with everything Amazon PPC and FBA, and we'll see you next video. Bye.